Well, in what sense is our society male-dominated?
The fact that the vast majority of wealth is owned by men, the vast majority of capital is owned by men. Women do more unpaid labour.
Very tiny proportion of men. A huge proportion of people who are seriously disaffected are men. Most people in prison are men. Most people who are on the street are men. Most victims of violent crime are men. Most people who commit suicide are men. Most people who die in wars are men. People who do worse in school are men. It's like, where's the dominance here precisely? What you're doing is you're taking a tiny substrata of hyper-successful men and using that to represent the entire structure of Western society.
So there you have it, guys. The great Jordan Peterson. For those of you who don't know, Jordan Peterson, he's a Canadian clinical psychologist, author, YouTuber, and as of the late years, or maybe for some time, depending on how you consider it, he's been, a red pill savior, if you will. He speaks on a lot of topics. He debates with a lot of feminists and destroys them all the time. And you see a lot of YouTubers cover him, and he's been on, I think he's been on The Roommates. He's been on a few other shows, or I wouldn't say necessarily red pill channels, but basically channels geared towards the empowerment of men and basically manhood focused channels. So interesting topic. You guys know I don't usually cover this. I'm not as articulate or as refined when it comes to these statistics like a lot of my other contemporaries and things like that. But, I do have an opinion, and a lot of things that he says is definitely spot on. It's a no-brainer. And a lot of the feminists that debate with him, and just feminists that debate in general, they kind of like try to throw the blind eye to what's really going on in this world. And I wanted to basically talk about what he said, which is basically, is it a male-dominated society? He said it. He basically said it in a roundabout way. There's a small group of men in this world, basically, that control all the shit, if you will. So if in that aspect, yes, it is a male-dominated society. There's a small group of men that basically, when it comes down to, these statistics that a lot of guys quote, that sleep with all the women, that have all the children, that are actually married, and that own all of the wealth for the most part. This is true. But men in general, we have to understand, and this is where it comes to the whole thing, that we talk about over and over on these red pill channels. The man in the 21st century, late 20th century to basically where we're at in the early 21st century, we're basically looked at as if we're not as important, especially, the solid, I don't want to get into, certain words, but you guys know where I'm going with this. Because I don't want to get this thing demonetized, if you would. Everything is always based off demonetization. But hey, that's why I'm here, to make money and also to talk. So anyway, you guys, there's certain things that the masculine type of man is basically looked at as obsolete, especially when it comes to the fathers and the real stand-up guys, if you will, that want to push the needle forward and basically maintain masculinity and not have this world gone to, or basically fall into what will become a feminist, which is basically what the Western world has become, a feminist dominated society. And basically that feminism, or this feminist society, goes hand in hand with capitalism. At the end of the day, we all know this. We know that's why the laws are the way they are when it comes to these things, which is another argument that women will talk about. Well, there are laws that are only basically, and I think she might have said it on there, the laws are basically, or maybe it was another video, the laws are basically for men at the end of the day. And when it comes to this whole judicial system as a whole, man, like, especially within family court, the laws, like even the sentences when it comes to these things, like women are given the benefit of the doubt when it comes to that. Whether it's, criminal or on the other side of family court, or even on the civil side. And a lot of things, like, guys, men are perishing, men are leaving this earth early when it comes to being overworked. 'Cause I think she said something about free labor, so on and so forth. But when it comes to being overworked, going to war, that S word that I don't want to say, where a man takes his own life. Especially, we don't even want to get into the, we know in this country what the demographics are when it comes to the proportion of white, black, Hispanic, and Asian. It's only, I think white is what, is it 70 something percent? You guys don't quote me. I'm sorry if I'm missing. I'm not a good statistics guy. I know black is like 13%, but when we get into the male aspect of it, the suicide, God, I messed up, man. The rate, that rate, it's not anything to laugh about, but that rate was some of the highest numbers proportionate to the counterparts. And it's something to really think about. Heart disease, all these diseases that men do suffer from in proportionate to women. And it's strange that this comes up, but the dominance as a whole, there are a lot of things that men, and we covered this in another video as well, that I reacted to. When asked the question to women, if they would rather, even the feminist women, if they would rather be a man, they would say no. And I don't have statistics to give you guys, and a lot of you guys probably gonna talk, well, GR, you don't have the statistic, da-da-da-da-da. I'm pretty sure some of you can look it up. If women were asked if they could be a man, if they would, see what they say, man. The way the society is going, man, it's just weird. I think as time goes by and you realize where your focus is and what ultimately contributes to your happiness at the end of the day, that's where a lot of this stuff goes to. So if we focus so much on what is basically destroying the civilization, or basically chipping away at the civilization, or basically putting civilization to the brink of basically where roles or traditional gender roles are being blurred, or just roles in society are being blurred, there's always going to be a constant when it comes to a lot of the things that Jordan was talking about with this young lady. And that comes with being, I wouldn't say the innovators, but a lot of the innovation, a lot of the blue collar, labor intensive gigs, because there's always going to be, regardless of what you guys talking about, AI and robots and things like that, there's always going to be a need for labor. And who's going to be doing those things? Who's going to be constructing society and pushing that needle along as society progresses forward? Now, I'm not saying, and I'll never say it, that there isn't a need for women, that women aren't inventors, that women haven't pushed the needle forward in terms of innovation and creating things that have bettered society. Most definitely. But don't count men out is basically what we're getting at. There's this conversation that goes on and on. Don't count men out. And a lot of you guys who watch my channel, you think that I'm so against men. I'm so against men. No, I just want to see men do better. When I say do better, stop blaming all your troubles on women. Stop wanting to be emotionally, you want to be like a woman. When it's clear man and woman is different. They're definitely not the same. We are not, as men, we are not like women, and women aren't like us. And it should never cross. There's a reason why things are the way they are. There's a reason why we're wired the way we are. So believe it or not, man, I'm gonna get off my stand with this. That's just my thoughts on it. Let me know you guys' thoughts. He covered some awesome topics, from, basically failing, academics in school, to, mortality, to, wars, to homelessness. He covered a ton of them in just a small amount of time. The wealth, all of these things. So let me know below, man. Like, share, comment, and subscribe. Hit me up on Calendly and Linktree to book a one-on-one with yours truly. And purchase all my products and merch. And with that being said, man, this is wisdom. Peace be upon you all, the mercy and blessings of the Almighty, and I'll catch you guys on the next one. I'm out of here. Peace.
It's God's beat maker.
And I don't know. I will put a light in the sky for the G's that done turn memory from go. Blessings be sent to the ghetto youth them.